Hi, I'm Candice Michel, and this is Our Community. I'm joined in the studio once again by my friends Ray Gary and Michael Gorse. Notably absent today is our friend and fellow collaborator, Rick McNamer, who finds himself indisposed. Get healthy again, Rick. We miss you. So last week we talked about what I call the latest dumpster fires caused by our current president and his notoriously incompetent and horribly destructive followers that are gutting our republic. As usual, we only made it about halfway down the list. There are just so many instances of abuse being perpetrated on a daily basis. It's hard to keep track, let alone discuss. Nevertheless, we will persist. We'll keep talking about the focused and intentional attacks against the rule of law and the will of the people because that's our right and sacred duty. It's what real patriots do. Not my country, right or wrong, nor love it or leave it. When your child misbehaves, a responsible parent corrects the behavior and then moves on. When our country is headed down the wrong path, a responsible citizen calls attention to it to help change it. So this is us, a group of responsible citizens drawing attention to the ways in which our beloved country is now off the rails and into the weeds. As Benjamin Franklin said in answer to the question about what type of government they had created, a republic, if you can keep it. So welcome back, my friends. We have lots to unpack today. As usual, I made a list, and again, as usual, we probably won't get to everything. We're going to talk about the big ugly bill, but I'd like to start off talking about what Ben Franklin meant by those immortal words, a republic, if you can keep it. Because the woman that he was answering asked if he had created a monarchy or a republic. And it's interesting that he couched it in terms, if you can keep it. So what that says to me is that we actually have to do something to keep our form of government.
Exactly. And right now we're doing something to go just the opposite, it seems like.
It does. It feels like everything that's going on is going in the wrong.
Could I go off the agenda for just a minute?
Of course you can.
To have a little bit of a rant. I was shocked recently to see that Lisa Murkowski voted against her conscience. For those
Really, were you shocked? Really, were you
Yes,
shocked?
I was,
Okay.
and I'll tell you why.
I'm sad that you're shocked.
For those of you who don't know anything about Alaska politics or about Lisa Murkowski, she's greatly respected in Alaska. She's the only Republican I ever voted for. Mm-hmm. Not too many sessions ago, I don't know how it happened, but she lost the primary, which was unheard of. Everybody was shocked that she lost the primary. So she ran on a write-in, which is generally considered to be a waste of time.
Right.
And she won. And one of the things that in order for the vote to count, they had to have spelt her name correctly.
Uh-oh.
So anyway, she did. She won.
Okay.
And came back. And everybody, when she was interviewed last week, she was saying there's a lot of things she doesn't like about that bill, and right now she's going to vote no. And I just knew she would stick to her guns and do what she thought. I don't know. She said she did something for the people of Alaska. I don't know why they're different than the people of Oregon, but
no, exactly.
Maybe they promised her a bridge, or who the heck knows.
But it's
not like her to do that. And you can see when she was interviewed right after it, she felt bad about doing it. She, I don't know.
I think that we need a little bit more than that from our representatives.
Yes.
Because she threw us all in under the bus, including her constituents.
Right.
I mean, here we are. Unbelievable.
So anyway, I just wanted to get that off my chest.
Well,
and
thank you.
Lisa, if you're listening, if I lived in Alaska, I wouldn't be voting for you anymore.
There we go.
And I think there's a lot of Alaskans going to feel that way.
Yep. Especially when they stop being able to get their health care.
Well, the other thing about Alaska, welcome back, my friends. It's a show that never ends. The thing about Alaska is every citizen of Alaska, like a good, responsible leader would want to do, participates in the energy abundance that comes out of Alaska. They all get subsidy checks, like Muammar Gaddafi wanted his folks in Libya to get, like other people around the world have wanted, that we always have to step in and stop this thing by some route of force, because that concept is not sound according to our business practices. And yet Alaska, that's the concept. That's the method. That's why Alaskans like the energy up there and are cool with basically with her for a long time, because that's their norm. What happens to that now?
Yeah.
The money, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
There's no politician in Alaska who would ever. You talk about a third rail. That is a third rail.
So is Social Security, and we're all we're being electrified by the third rails right now.
What you're talking about is called the permanent fund, or the distribution of the earnings on the permanent fund. When the money started rolling in, a certain percentage of it was put aside to be in this fund called the permanent fund. And now like you said, every man, woman, and child, if you're 1 day old or 102 years old, you get this check, which varies every year. Let's just call it an average of $1,000. It's sometimes it's more than that, sometimes it's less than that. And that is a distribution of the interest on the earnings.
Wow.
So that's the explanation for that. Yeah.
It's an entitlement built on energy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if we had that around the country, it might look like a solution.
But doesn't it also look a little like socialism?
In a good way.
Well,
I don't think that most of the leaders in the country understand that socialism is not the evil incarnate.
Democrat,
unless you consider our road crews and our public schools and
bingo,
police and dozens of other things. Yeah.
I know.
And the happiest people on earth live under democratic socialist governments in Northern Europe, and we understand this. We see it. We have to have memory holes and propaganda to keep us from understanding it and correctly interpolating it into our politics, because we need to be fooled and manipulated and traumatized instead. That's the actual proper process for a paid, for the capitalist press.
It seems like one of the ways, if we are going to keep our republic, one of the things that's necessary is that the electorate are educated, that the citizens actually know what their form of government is and how it works and what doesn't work and what does. And I mean, basic education seems like it would be, I don't know, really important if you were going to sustain a form of government. And I'm just not seeing it, I'm not seeing the education.
We can't solve anything that we can't properly identify. Can we agree on that?
Oh, yeah.
In the early 2000s, the education model was No Child Left Behind, which was basically a way to overtest everybody, putting both the teachers and the students on their back heels, worried about how they're going to process in the tests rather than getting that whole creative thought process moving and learning music and math and all the STEM things. We deprioritized that. And I would say if we've been doing that for 25 years, it's had an effect. We're seeing the effect. If you want to solve the problems that we have, we got to go back to where those problems originated and at least acknowledge how they originated, why they originated, and properly figure out how to get out of that place. Because if we are always just responding to the latest mess, the latest chaos, we're behind the ball all the time. This is how and why we're behind the ball all the time.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we got to get our stuff together. How did we get in the weeds? Well, I was smoking a lot of weed, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that was
I
it.
missed that part of it. Well, you guys don't tell me anything.
I know. We tried to keep it from you.
Tell me about it after it happened.
I think that the idea about the concept of No Child Left Behind, the pure concept of that is a good concept. We don't want to leave any child behind. We want every child to be educated and to thrive.
But the way they were going about it was
yeah, absolutely.
populist method.
Yeah. No,
We'll know what Johnny's doing. We'll give Johnny a test.
Yep. No.
That's how else can you know?
Right? It doesn't. That does not work at all.
No,
and
it doesn't.
instead of
But that would be the populist view.
Meanwhile, my wife was a teacher during that period, and we were financing the pencils and the calculators in the classroom because the school was broke.
Absolutely.
They didn't have the money.
Absolutely. And that, right, if you don't actually value educating your citizens, if you don't actually value it, then you don't fund education, because that's the way to not educate your citizens. Or you could just, I don't know, get rid of the Department of Education.
Or you could get rid of the Department of Education so that the states and the local governments can set their own curriculum. So now you can have schools in Georgia teaching about the big steal. Was the 19 yeah when Bush. When,
I don't think so. Wasn't it 2020?
Yeah, when Trump had the election stolen from us.
Yes, exactly.
School now.
Exactly.
But we're not teaching about slavery.
Oh, no.
Those were happy. They were singing and just
and they were learning
those
skills.
Troublemakers from up north started
marketable skills.
They were learning marketable skills. Absolutely. Yeah, I know. So in addition to, having a duty to be informed, we also have a duty to participate. And I think that that's one of the things that that has happened. Not only are people uninformed, but they are apathetic because it doesn't look like there's anything that they can do, and so they don't participate. I mean, the elections are, woefully unattended. It's like, really.
Even in a place like here where it's so simple.
It's so simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. But yeah, I don't see how we're going to get smarter if we don't get smarter. If we don't put some effort into it.
This is one end of the spectrum where we literally, whenever we get around to it, go down to the box and drop your ballot in. There are lots of places in this country where you stand online for 3-4 hours.
Exactly. Or longer.
Or longer. Outside in places like Florida, and people are not allowed to bring you water or food or anything.
Which is insane.
And do everything possible to dissuade people from voting.
And why? Why?
Well, because it seems like a low vote turnout. It goes in favor of the Republicans. For whatever reason, I don't understand that one.
So, should we talk about the big ugly bill that happened? Because that was the big news. From
the elephant in our room right now. And this room can't handle an elephant. So
no, we can't.
Yeah. I spent some time, it took me a while this morning, trying to find a YouTube explanation of it that was not partisan. Mm-hmm. Actually, I didn't find any that were for it because, well, my system doesn't go to that. But anyway, This
Does
no,
it go
really.
into the void?
I almost never look at something right wing. So when I bring up my premium page, it will talk about Bigfoot Model Ts, but it will never give me any explanation about Republican anything, because I just don't look at that. Call me narrow-minded if you want.
That's all right.
Okay, so
It's
this
hard to take.
guy went through basically explaining some of the key points that we hear about, and even though I watched it, I can't tell you I can explain even everything he said. But one of the things he talked about is we're not only not going to have subsidies on renewable energy, but it's going to be taxed.
That's insane, right?
Well,
I said that's insane.
of course it is.
Yeah.
I think that did we talk earlier about the electorate being educated in some way?
Yeah.
I
know.
I mean, how can anybody say that, for instance, solar panels aren't a good thing? They don't cause cancer like windmills do, of course. They don't do anything bad like that. The thing that windmills actually do is they do kill some birds. Mm-hmm. And years ago, the Audubon Society said they kill far less birds than the production of fossil fuel energy. And it was, if you put the scales on it, the scales went in favor of windmills. Now, I had heard Trump is always talking about the noise from windmills will give you cancer or reduce your property value. And I don't know, I've been around some windmills. I've stood at the base of windmills and you hear. A neighbor of mine says, "Oh, I live near them, and they sound like a jet engine." Well, this guy is.
Wow. Okay.
This guy is not. Anyway, but no, they don't. I've never heard any noise from them.
And there may be issues. I mean, really, there are possibly issues with everything, and the way that you find out what the issues are and deal with them is you get educated. And we have scientists and people who are tasked with looking into that stuff and coming up with what the problems are and solving the problems. But, kind of like the people who forecast the weather, we're just kicking them to the curb.
Yeah, we can get to that because that's an hour in itself, I think.
The kicking
the
up.
people forecasting the weather.
Yeah, no.
Okay,
NOAA.
so then he went on to talk about no tax on tips, and it's kind of not that simple. Or maybe it is, but I didn't fully understand the explanation. That the tax on tips is you can deduct the first $25,000 in tips. So I guess that means if you don't get $25,000 in tips, then you're not paying any tax on them at all. But if you go over that, then
It's either that or your income has to be under $25,000, your total income. And I just read this morning, and what that means is that you have to give up your standard deduction of $15,000.
Oh, really?
Yes. So really, you're not making out.
When they first said that, I thought to myself, what's wrong with this dummy? He's thinking about the dot that works in the coffee shop and is getting, I don't know how much, $1 here and $1 there. Mm-hmm. But there are maitre d's in big restaurants that get thousands and thousands of dollars a year in tips. And so evidently they are not going to be tax-free. They're only going to be a portion of it is tax-free.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe nothing at all if they're, I don't know, if their income exceeds $25,000, maybe they don't get any tax break at all.
And it's similar gobbledygook, as I call it, on overtime.
Mm-hmm. Well, what really worries me is what they're doing, what this bill does to Medicaid and Medicare. Because the far-reaching effects of that are not immediately apparent. I mean, you really have to think about it, and you really have to talk to people who are inside the healthcare system to know what the effects are going to be. Medicaid and Medicare are what keeps Curry General open.
And we have to go back to, of course, the idea that we're not going to give this to you for free. You have to work at least 80 hours a month. And I don't think we can get it out of these people's head that everybody getting government money is on the dole or feeding at the public trough. There are requirements to qualify for Medicare. I don't know.
And for Medicaid, I mean...
the other thing, wait a minute, I think I jumped ahead there a little bit. Okay, you're going to be reevaluated more often, fill out new paperwork every 6 months instead of every year. There would be a whole lot of problems with all that. Things would get lost. It's going to be a big can of worms, and ultimately people are going to lose out, or they'll lose out because they don't understand it. I get these things every now and then, like everybody does. You have 6 weeks to update your whatever. I haven't a clue what has to be updated or what I have to do it. And it turns out I don't have to do anything because I'm just fine the way I am. But confuses me. Now, SNAP is also going to require this work thing.
Yep.
Because we know these people are just out there eating cookies and whatever that they get on SNAP.
Gratuitously feeding children.
Gratuitously feeding children, yep.
Those they're just little. Feeding at the public trough. They learn early. You have to teach them when they're children how you get these stamps and what you do with them.
But, you know, I want to come back to Curry General, because I think that most of the people who live in the rural communities are dependent on rural hospitals. Without the rural hospitals, there's nowhere to go. And you know, Sutter Coast is another rural hospital. It's not a big hospital. So if Medicare and Medicaid can no longer reimburse the costs of our rural hospitals, which is what will happen, the hospitals will have to close down. I heard a senator talking about 20 different rural hospitals in his state that were going to close because of this.
Are we not already a healthcare desert?
We are.
And now it gets
much worse. Much worse.
Radically worse.
I mean, I didn't think it was a great idea to have a standalone emergency room. I really wanted there to be a hospital with the emergency room on 5th Street. But that emergency room has saved my husband's life twice and probably saved mine. So we need something. And the thought of not having an emergency room, a hospital.
And as cool as it is to have Cal Oregon Life Flight in the community, and as a backup, it's a backup.
Exactly.
It's not the same as having firsthand health care when you need it, where you need it, in the emergency, in that first hour of the stroke.
That's right. That's right.
I went into the emergency room when a few years ago for the first time, and a guy came out and introduced himself as Dr. So-and-so.
Mm-hmm.
I said, a doctor? You're actually a doctor? And the community this size, there just aren't that many doctors, it seems to me, working in hospitals or in clinics.
And it feels like it's getting, and of course it is getting worse. I mean, it's not just that it feels like it actually is getting worse. I mean, if you can't make a living in a small community as a doctor, which is getting harder and harder to do, then you leave. You go somewhere else.
Or you're making a living that's considerably less than if you were someplace else.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's appalling. And the people who voted for Trump do not understand, or maybe they are becoming aware of what this is actually going to mean to their lives, because so many people in our community, so many are on Medicaid, so many. All of the assisted living places, I mean, all of that is funded by Medicaid and Medicare. It goes away when that goes away.
How many facilities here are apt to close? The memory clinic
yeah.
at one of the
I would
elderly
imagine
care
Good
places.
Samaritan would close.
And will cause insurance premiums to escalate is one of your notes. And that's in the list of medical stuff, and it's true enough there. But it also goes to homeowners insurance with the cancellation of NOAA and weather warnings and whatnot. Those are all of that information is the basis upon which insurance premiums are set.
Yeah.
And when they no longer have that, they're basically making all of our homes uninsurable.
Yes, right? Yeah, I know.
End of story. End of that industry.
And it's not like the disasters are going to stop. I mean, look at
No,
Texas,
they're
for
actually
heaven's
increasing as we speak, and you
Yes.
were going to talk to that.
Yeah. When Elon was running around like an idiot with his chainsaw, saving us lots and lots of money.
I think it was a bejeweled chainsaw.
What?
I think it had jewels all over it.
Jewels was
I think it did, yeah. Yes.
he bought those jewels with the money he saved by firing all these people, I
yeah,
guess.
exactly.
People were saying you can't cut money from here, you can't cut money from there. These are necessary services, and people will die. And that's what was being said, particularly about the weather forecasting services, NOAA, and all of that. And
I'm trying to remember what NOAA stands for. National
Oceanic and atmospheric, what's the H?
Association? I don't know. Oh,
NOAH, right?
No, it's NOAA, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
so it
Atmospheric
probably is
Association. No, you're right.
yeah, stay tuned, folks, because at
If
5
we
o'clock,
learn something, we'll share it with
at 5 o'clock, there's a show coming on that people who know what they're talking about. But as for now, you just have to
up with us.
sit back and be entertained.
Exactly.
And we're not telling you where we are, so you can't come and get us.
But seriously, the people who are being fired are weather forecasters. They're
Yes.
people who can sit at machines and figure out from the readings that they're getting from the satellites what the weather's going to be.
And they're already saying in Texas that this is a lack of knowledge as to what was coming. I don't know anything about these 20 girls that are swept away in the camp, but I'm sure they probably would not have been wherever it was they were swept away from if they knew there was going to be a foot of water.
Yeah.
When we hear about floods on television and they go to New Jersey because the streets there are flooded, and you see some guy in a raincoat with hip boots on or something, and he's up to his knees in water that's slowly going by. That water it was unbelievably, it would look like almost whitewater conditions as it's sweeping down the road or the fields and everything, taking away houses and cars. And
I mean, I've never really seen
apparently
anything
20
quite
little
like
girls
that.
as well.
Yeah, at least. I think the death toll is up around 40 at this point.
Well, I'm talking about there's 20
I know.
girls that were
At
in a
that
camp or something, and we haven't heard from them. That doesn't sound very good at all.
No, and think about it for a minute, right? We're going into hurricane season. So those are all those storms that with some advance notice people can board up their houses and
relatives in Florida, when the storms are coming, they have a regular routine they go through to cover their house and do.
And we rely on those forecasts so that we know whether we should cut and run,
right?
If it's going to be a really bad one, or if we can wait it out.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this just sounds to me like a prescription for massive disaster.
Pretty much.
And it has to be on purpose.
And pretty much. And it all flows downhill just like water does, doesn't it? Because when NOAA doesn't give you the warning, your local newspaper doesn't have anything to say to you about it. Your local weatherman is precluded from giving you the sound advice that he's been giving you forever. And so this makes everybody just subject to more chaos.
Part of the thing that I did find in my YouTube research this morning was the guy running this YouTube was taking tapes from weathermen around the country, apologizing for the fact that they would not be as reliable as they had been in past years because we're not going to have the information.
I mean, that's hideous. Already, the weather people on the newscasts are considered to be, it's kind of a funny job, right? Because you can be wrong 50% of the time. And,
and you're expected to have personality, too.
Exactly, because if you're going to be wrong 50% of the time, you ought to be able to have a personality to go along with it. But now there's not even 50.
That's a good joke, and I'm not so sure it's right anymore. This time of year, I'm checking my phone almost 5 times a day to see when's the rain going to get here. And the other night, I was looking out my window over the ocean, and there was lightning coming. I said, "Oh, wow." And I got my phone out, and it was like, 8:30, and it said 8:49, shower is likely. 8:49, it was likely. There was exactly to the minute. Of course, it didn't last long enough to do anything.
No,
but
exactly.
I'm shocked with how accurate at least the prediction of rain is here.
It did something, though. It moved inland, and the lightning started several fires.
Yes.
Did it really?
Yeah.
I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
Yep. Quite a few.
8
evidently.
or 9, I think.
Yeah, because I think they said there was something like 1,300 strikes.
Wow.
Because it was huge.
So are these fires creating a problem already, or are they able to
On the Upper Klamath, yes.
Oh.
Yep, of course.
The one thing about this summer, it's been cool anyway, and that reduces the severity of fires.
For us, I don't think it's been cool in Navajo land.
Really? Oh.
Now, they've got huge fires.
No, I meant here.
Oh.
Here, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then of course that means that the wild land fires will burn because they're also firing the firefighters.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in what universe does any of this make sense?
Oh, this one now. Yes, we're living in the twilight zone. I've been saying that's been my euphemism, I guess, for what this country's become. We have people in charge who, believe it, just do not believe in science. It's
I
unbelievable.
wonder if they don't believe in it or if they just find it inconvenient. If the bottom line is money, if the bottom line is profit.
Well, of course it is. That's why we don't want to have renewable energy. We have to. I saw Trump the other day talking about blah 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 and renewable energy. He says we're going to be dependent on coal.
Oh yay!
And it was even for him that's an incredibly stupid thing to say. But
yeah.
Let's be dependent on
But coal is clean now, don't you know?
I know.
It's been rebranded.
I know. And if you qualify for Medicaid, you can go to the hospital and to suffer out your black lung disease that comes from mining that.
I mean, it does seem like a class war, doesn't it? The upper class, that 1%, is just doing everything to make sure that the rest of us
look at who's running
don't exist.
Look who's running the government now, running all the important things.
I know.
All billionaires.
I know.
They already have all the money.
Yeah, they do.
They took that over the last 45 years. Okay, that's been consistently going, and it's gone. Going. So now that they have all the money, The next part is to make sure they never get tasked with solving the problems that they've profited from creating. That's the last job for a capitalist society that is going to go blithely into the sixth
Implode.
where it's the sixth massive extinction. We are, in the last 40 years, we've lost 30% to 50% of our natural bird population. We're in a sixth extinction, the sixth massive extinction. We've 5 times before, the Earth has been cleared of its life forms and had to rebuild. The last big one was the dinosaurs when they went out 26 million years ago, something like that. And so here we are. We're in the middle of another mass extinction, but this is us causing it and intent on making sure that it never gets addressed. Kurt Vonnegut talked about that. We're the only society that's ever going to take ourselves out of existence because we didn't feel like we could afford to maintain ourselves.
But we have Sir Elon Musk, who is going to save us all by
going to Mars.
The sooner he
we are
goes,
going to
the
build
better.
colonies on Mars. Now, the other night, I don't usually watch these kind of programs, but this looked interesting. I think it was 2 hours long, called A Day on Mars. And this was an older program, unfortunately. So it showed our history of getting to Mars and the different things in the rover and all these things. And each one could find another little thing and another. And we were learning quite a bit about it. And we're riding in the rover, looking around, and it's showing this, and digging in the sand, and these dust devils and horrible weather, and it's 185 degrees outside. And I didn't see a single thing on that 2-hour program that made that look like it would be a neat place to go, even to visit. In fact, I thought that television show was perfectly adequate for me.
Better than a trip to Mars.
Don't need to go. Thank you very much.
I guess if you don't like spiders and snakes and stuff, it'd probably be a great thing. But and they're finding these places where there used to be water. Oh, good. Mm-hmm. Are we about 1.5 million years late?
Mm-hmm.
We all three share a love for Neil deGrasse Tyson. As he says, if you can terraform Mars, you could re-terraform Earth a whole lot easier, could you not?
Yeah, spend that money on a technology to keep us here.
And we actually know that we like this. We like this planet. We like being here.
We've solved the issue of aliens ever visiting us. They clearly, they lock their windows and doors when they fly by this planet. Come on now.
Yeah, that's actually kind of funny.
I have some frogs, little dart frogs that I keep in an aquarium, not an aquarium, but a tank is a vivarium. And they live in this total existence that has nothing to do with what's on the other side of that 1/8 inch of glass. And that's what we would be living like in Mars.
Yep.
But we wouldn't have somebody opening the lid and dumping in a bunch of flies all the time.
I hope not.
We'd have to go catch our own damn flies.
That would be inconvenient. So I read something this morning that Trump actually said that he loves the poorly educated.
Yes.
Which I find that very interesting. Clearly it's understandable why, because they can't possibly question what he says. If they're poorly educated, they have no basis, right, to say,
is that what he's...
But I.
Oh, well, yeah, okay.
Right? So they don't know any better. But it seems like a pretty low bar.
Very early on, he decided and did interviews talking about it, interestingly enough, that if he was ever going to get involved in politics, it would be with the Republicans because they're easy to sell.
Wow.
Here we are.
Yeah. No.
What can you say?
Yeah.
He was a liberal at one time. I don't know how long ago, but...
Was he? I mean...
I don't know.
I mean, was he?
Or he was he was a Democrat,
Yeah.
That's a different deal.
Yeah,
which would be a
completely
good
different deal.
good place to be in New York.
In the 1990s, coming out of Reaganism and George H.W., and our first trip into militarizing the Middle East, I got lost. I'm sorry. Pick
No.
it up.
It's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
I get lost all the time.
Like I said, at 5 o'clock there'll be a show coming on.
Yeah,
with
that's right. The
people who actually have thoughts that they can put together
the
and spew
Democratic
them out.
Leadership
Sense.
Committee. That's where I got lost. The Democratic Leadership Committee was the Clintonian think tank that replaced the old Democratic National Committee during those years. When James Carville talks about we didn't find the key to the Electoral College, we just picked the lock, what he means, I believe, is that they sold coming out of Arkansas, they sold the entire politic at that point on doing a half step towards the Republicans, declaring the era of big government is over, for instance. This was giving into what they wanted, right? This was a half step toward oligarchy that worked at that moment in time. Mm-hmm. Those kind of things, once they've been done, we've never walked them back, and then we memory hold that we did them. Mm-hmm. So this is what I'm saying. I think we just aren't near solving the problems that we have because we don't know accurately, are not capable of accurately assessing where those problems came from, because we don't have it in our memory that this is how we got here, folks. And until we kind of figure that part out, we're stuck here.
Well, and the whole thing about elitism, then, because I remember that's just been going on for decades, about the intellectuals and their elite, and, we don't want to be them because they're not the people, we the people are not elite. Well, we the people don't have to be uneducated. We don't have to be not smart. We were sold a bill of goods about that.
Is being educated part of being woke? I guess I really don't understand what's the big deal there.
I think woke has more to do with actually having morality and having empathy and compassion and understanding that if one person is not free, then none of us are. That's the woke, as I understand it.
Oh, okay. I can see now why they don't like that.
Oh, yes.
Could we go back to something for a second? I missed it in the early part of my notes when I was talking about all the benefits and upsides and downsides to the new bill. There is something in there about Social Security that I don't quite understand. Does anybody... We're not being taxed on Social Security, we are being, or...
As far as I know, we are still being taxed on Social Security.
But there's something in there that there's no withholding or something. You don't know either, huh?
I have not read the 900 pages.
Oh.
And...
Well, now...
I
but
know.
That's something that the three of us here at the table are going to be affected by if they're not taxing.
Yes,
Social
and
Security.
so you take the first 300 pages, you take the second, and I'll take the third. By the time we do the next show, we will have read the bill, right?
Maybe if we tune into the show that's going to start at 5 o'clock, there'll be something.
See, the thing is that I personally am having trouble keeping up. I mean, that I'm just having trouble keeping up. I'm feeling like every time I turn around, either the story has changed or it's morphed into just something a little bit different than it was. And people like Lisa Murkowski, who say that they are definitely not voting for the bill, then turn around and vote for it. Or the 5 Republicans who had voted no, 3 of them changed their votes. So I'm feeling confused and overwhelmed, and I am quite sure that that is also by design. Keep us confused, keep us overwhelmed.
90 deals in 90 days. We're almost to the end of the 90 days and the tariffs are about to kick in.
I don't think there's been one deal, has there? I think I think he talked to Vietnam, but I don't think they actually made a deal.
He talked to Britain and he couldn't get a deal with them.
He can't.
Figure this one out.
I know. And now Canada they're going to take over making the automobiles.
So I heard that they were charging a toll now on the Alaska Highway, but I didn't get that from a reliable source.
I have no idea.
I could see on trucks. There's a lot of trucks, but we pay a good deal on the upkeep of the Alaska Highway because basically it just goes through Canada and little towns and gets us to Alaska.
So is the Alaska Highway? So it doesn't belong to us.
No. We built it and helped maintain it because essentially Canada gets very little benefit from it. Once it turns into the Alaska Highway, you're off in the bushes in these little towns of 1,000 people or something like that. So they're not really gaining a whole lot from it.
Well, Canada is definitely emerging as a world power. I am shocked because whoever thought that Canada would do that, and thrilled because somebody's stepping up and somebody's, an adult is stepping up, and that's delightful to see.
All the people, all the allies that we've left behind have no choice but to organize themselves and deal with the reality that we've created.
That we've left them in the dust. Yeah, I know.
And it's sad.
It's more than sad. I don't know how we come back from this. And I keep thinking about it. I keep listening to, the pundits talk and try to figure out how we come back from this. Because our reputation in the entire world is trashed. I mean, trashed.
So, kind of related to all that, would it be a good idea or a bad idea to have either term or age limits on politicians or people running these things?
Nobody over 30.
I think we said that the last
We
time.
said that the last show. I'm more there than ever. Let the kids figure this one out because they have the stake in the game that we have apparently given up on.
Well, I'd like to. Funny how that just leads right into this. I'd like to quote something that Ben Franklin said because I read a whole lot of stuff about what he said when that woman asked him what he had created. So he said, "For having lived long, I have experienced many instances of being obliged by better information or fuller consideration to change opinions, even on important subjects which I once thought right, but found to be otherwise. It is therefore that, the older I grow, the more apt I am to doubt my own judgment and pay more respect to the judgment of others." So when I read that, I thought, that is one of the benefits of aging, is aging with your eyes open, I guess, is that you actually notice that the ideas that you held so strongly might not be exactly 100% correct. That maybe there was another perspective, or maybe there was another way of looking at it that could have added some depth to what you thought was true, and in fact does change it a little bit. So I'm not sure about the young people, okay? I mean, I love them, okay? I mean, I do. Some of my really, really good friends are young. But they don't have the experience that those of us who've been on the planet for 75 years have.
Aren't we the ones that messed this up?
Oh, we so are. But but again, that's where changing your mind comes in, when you look at what you have wrought.
Neil deGrasse Tyson, again, speaks to Isaac Newton as being the most incredible human thinker of human society because of what he came up with in the math and astronomy and the gravity and gravitation. I mean, the man was brilliant. And then he spoke actually honestly about his own ignorance and said that he feels as if he's still just on the beach picking one rock over another. And that's where he's coming from. That was his own capacity to both brilliantly work through some really complicated stuff that has proven true for the rest of human society, and at the same time value his own ignorance in this whole deal, and the realization that he doesn't know a whole lot more than he knows, and he was kind of smart.
I don't think
every
any
now
of us
and then I
knows
try
more
to
than we
find
know.
I try to find some solace in thinking, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're right.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know about the solace part. It all depends on what they're right about.
Everything would be all right if they're right and we're wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong is always part of my process.
Right.
Never part of my...
That they may be right.
I know that.
I'm not assured.
But it behooves us, doesn't it, to just consider the possibility. Consider the possibility that we don't have a lock on the truth. All of us. I mean, because the reality is we probably don't. I know that's really sad for you, Ray.
All right. if I have to, I guess.
But seriously, isn't it through questioning what we think is true that those leaps are made, that we go from, thinking things are this way to suddenly going, oh my God, it's not, it's this. And look at what builds on that. I mean, education, I guess, and, compassion and empathy and, a willingness to be wrong, a willingness to say, what if? What if the way I see it is not the way it is? Or not the only way it is, right? Not the only way it is.
I got no answers for you.
Damn it.
Well,
and we still have 3.5 minutes. Come on now, girl.
Obviously, I still disagree with you, but...
Of course you do. Well, I got to wonder, so as we are, in fact, starting to wind down, I have to wonder what's ahead of us for just the next week. Let's just say the next week, okay? Because we are looking at the 90 days timing out, right? Mm-hmm. So we've got tariffs. We also have some of the effects of that bill are going to start happening. I know the big ones won't. They conveniently put them to start in 2027 after the midterms.
Some hospitals, rural hospitals, one in Kansas, I believe, has already announced they're closing. And so those aspects are going to happen, I think, faster rather than slower, because these people don't wish to stick around and suffer the consequences. They'll get out now while the getting out is good.
And if they can see that, in the blink of an eye, that is where it's coming, who wants to be in a business that loses money for 6 months before you throw in the towel? Well, I think it's an interesting, once again, an interesting time that we live in. I'm not overly fond of it, but I guess here we are.
Born in interesting times. It's a
Yeah,
curse.
It is, I know.
Yeah.
Say the Chinese. Well, gentlemen, I do believe we are out of time again. I appreciate greatly your time that you make to be here. It matters, and being willing to stand up for our republic so that we can at least try to keep it for a few more years. And I want to thank our listeners for tuning in. We are living in extremely unsettling times. It's our civic and sacred duty to speak up when we see William Butler Yeats' rough beast slouching towards Bethlehem, and so we will. Until next time, be safe, be aware, and don't look away. I'm Candice Michel, and this is our community.